Hey gang, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to give you guys an update with regards to Ravi Zacharias. For those of you who don't know, Ravi Zacharias, incredibly famous Christian apologist who founded his own ministry and was an international speaker defending the faith. Incredibly respected across both the Christian and secular community, who died late in 2020. And I had posted a video just giving my thoughts about how I felt with regards to Ravi Zacharias and his teachings, and how that helped me with regards to my faith walk and my beliefs as a Christian. And so, for those of you that don't know, he was being accused of sexual misconduct prior to his death, and after his death, his ministry continued to do an investigation, and unfortunately, they came out with a press release fairly recently stating that they are validating the accusations of sexual misconduct. So it's very sad, right? You definitely don't want to hear people in leadership roles engaging in misconduct of any kind, sexual or otherwise. But what I wanted to talk about was, I wanted to talk about it in terms of what do we think about this and how do we approach it as a Christian? Because we live in a cancel culture, right? And so it's very easy to just cancel somebody. It's very easy to just say, oh, you know what? Like, I'm done with you. Let's throw the baby out with the bathwater and wipe our hands of Ravi Zacharias. And one of the sad things is that a lot of Christian networks that were carrying a lot of his talks and lectures and speaking engagements have decided to just drop him from their channel. And I get it, right? You know, this is not to condone his behavior. By no means, do not misunderstand what I'm saying here. It's not cool what he did. Like, sexual misconduct is just not a good thing to do. At the same time, we have to be cautious about this whole like cancel nature, because we're all guilty of mistakes. We're all guilty of sin. And if somebody has made mistakes, somebody makes a mistake, and that's it, we just wash our hands of people, we're going to run out of people to interact with. And the general theme is that we want to have our leadership be above reproach. Paul definitely talked about this when talking about leadership, and that you needed to have a certain standard of character about you, right? And we definitely want our leaders to have standards and characters that we can aspire to. But the mistake that we can make is when we put our faith in men, then we're always going to be disappointed, right? And as far as this is concerned, nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to be above reproach, and nobody's going to be free of sin. I still make mistakes, and I did a lot of bad, wicked, evil stuff before I got saved. And I had a renewed heart after being saved that had me turn away from all that stuff. I no longer have interest in things like sexual addiction, drug addiction, stuff like that. But sometimes people are going to still fall down. Matter of fact, when Jesus saved the thief on the cross, that guy hadn't been free of sin. Jesus simply forgave him. And if we think about the parable of the unforgiving servant, right? It says, then Peter came to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. This is a very powerful message from Jesus, which is essentially saying that when you keep sinning, then the reaction and the response should not be to wash our hands of people. The reaction and response should be to forgive people. Now, let's also remember that God is justice. And so for those who were victims in this situation, then what do we have to say about that? Do the victims not get justice? Well, yes, but then again, when we think about this, we also have to think about the cross, because our sin is nailed at the cross. So was what happened bad enough to where somebody should get lashed 39 times on their back to where flesh and bone is exposed? Should they be nailed to the cross where they die by slow suffocation? How about a crown of thorns on your head? Is that an appropriate amount of punishment to pay for the sins? Sin was paid for, but it was paid by Jesus on the cross. And again, I'm also not suggesting licentiousness either. I'm not saying, oh, well, Jesus died for my sins so I can just get away and do with whatever. I'm not saying that. And I don't know what was in Ravi's heart to even suggest such a thing. I'm only simply saying that sometimes people are still going to be doing improper bad behavior. That doesn't mean that they're not saved. It doesn't mean they're not Christian. It doesn't mean that they are bad, awful people and they don't deserve forgiveness, because none of us deserve forgiveness. Grace is a gift. We don't get it because we deserve it. And I'll leave you with this. Jesus didn't come to die on the cross to make bad people good. He died for our sins so that dead people could have life. We have eternal salvation now thanks to his sacrifice. Well, that's all I wanted to say on this subject. I'll post a link to an article from his ministry talking about what their final response is on the subject. That's all for this episode. God bless you, brothers and sisters.